Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, I'm going to be covering all the ins and outs of a car that you might have never heard of. This is a Saab 9.3 Viggen, and it was the brand's first legitimate attempt at creating a dedicated performance car that can hold its own against BMW M and mercedes-amg. They only made it for a few years, so they're super rare. And like all Saabs, it sure is a quirky thing, but man is it fun to drive. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up and let her run. The 9.3 Viggen was first introduced as a coupe for the 1999 model year, developed jointly by Saab's Special Vehicle Operations Team and the England-based TWR Group. Sedan and convertible models were introduced soon after. Being an aircraft manufacturer, the name was actually derived from the Saab JA-37 Viggen fighter jet. While the Born from Jets slogan was mainly a marketing ploy, in this case it meant the ultimate expression of what a Saab performance car could be. They were produced in very limited numbers up until 2002, depending on the country. In the United States, between all three body styles, just under 3,000 Viggens were imported between 1999 and 2002. Black was the most popular color choice, with steel gray coming in at a close second. The approach was quite similar to what you might see from BMW M or Mercedes-AMG at the time, but the end results could not have been more different. For one, the 9.3 was front-wheel drive. 2, it had a lot of power going to those front wheels, and 3, its chassis wasn't nearly as advanced as its competitors. However, none of that really mattered in the eyes of Saab fans. This car was a proverbial middle finger to convention, a wacky and wonderful car in many ways that, to many, paid homage to Saab icons of the past, such as the 900 Turbo SPG. The transformation from a normal 9.3 to a Viggen involved a larger, more powerful engine, a beefed-up suspension, larger wheels and tires, bigger brakes, more purposeful styling, and an upgraded interior. Without a doubt, the Viggen was one of the most entertaining front-wheel drive cars of its time. Styling-wise, there's unique bumpers and side skirts that not only give it a more aggressive look, but they also improved how air moves around the car for greater high-speed stability by reducing aerodynamic drag and lift. The front spoiler pushes more air over the surface of the body rather than allowing it underneath. The side skirts contain what airflow there is under the body instead of allowing it to dissipate from the sides. The coupe and sedan had a unique rear wing that reduced rear-end lift by 60%. The spoiler used on the convertible was the same one that was otherwise optional on the regular 9.3. Another difference between the body styles was the antenna. With the unique rear wing, coupes and sedans had to have a roof-mounted antenna, while the convertible continued to use the electric antenna. All in all, the changes are somewhat subtle. If you didn't notice the Delta Wing emblems on the front fenders, you might not think of it as anything but a sport package-equipped 9.3. As you've probably guessed by now though, the Viggen was so much more than that. Pricing for the 3- and 5-door model started at $38,570, while the convertible started at $45,570, both of which included a $575 destination charge. The Viggen came equipped with an exclusive wheel and tire package, consisting of 17 by 7.5 5-spoke alloys finished in bright silver, and 215/45 low-profile Z-rated rubber that can hold around 0.84 G of lateral acceleration. The large wheels allowed for the fitment of larger brakes. The front rotors have a diameter of 12.13 inches versus 11.34 inches on the regular 9.3, and are clamped down by larger single-piston calipers and pads that have more surface area to provide greater stopping power. The rear discs and calipers are the same size as a regular 9.3. The slotted rotors are another Viggen exclusive. To improve brake pedal feel, a larger master cylinder was added along with a twin diaphragm brake booster. This setup with 4-channel ABS, electronic brake force distribution, and standard traction control is able to bring the car to a stop from 60 miles an hour in about 120 feet. All 9.3s featured hydraulic power-assisted rack and pinion steering that takes 3.4 turns to lock and has an overall ratio of 16.6 to 1. The Viggen benefits from stiffer steering rack mounts that improve feel and responsiveness. The turning circle is measured at 34.4 feet. Underpinning the Viggen is an independent McPherson strut front suspension with forged aluminum lower wishbones and an H-formed semi-rigid torsion beam with inner and outer stabilizer bars in the rear. In an effort to create a sharper handling car, the Viggen was treated to a host of suspension enhancements. All 4 springs were shortened by 10 millimeters and made stiffer by 5% in front and 25% in the rear. Along with recalibrated valving of the dampers, this helped reduce body roll over a regular 9.3 while still maintaining a high degree of comfort. With the stiffer setup, the diameter of the front stabilizer bar was reduced a couple of millimeters in order to improve traction when accelerating out of corners. The diameter of the rear stabilizer bar was left unchanged. I really appreciate these cars for their feeling of solidity. When you're driving any 9.3, or an NG900 for that matter, you feel like you're driving something of substance. The Viggen's ride quality is pretty much what you would expect from a premium convertible. While it's notably stiffer than any other 9.3, it's still on the soft side. It's not a super sharp sports car, but it handles itself pretty well. Only when pushed hard, harder than most should probably ever do on a public road, will the car tend to understeer. A downside with the convertible over the coupe and sedan is that you do sacrifice some structural rigidity. To my knowledge, the only additional chassis bracing that Saab did was beneath the windshield. Curb weight for the Viggen convertible was around 3,250 pounds. Powering the Viggen is a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that develops 230 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 258 pound-feet of torque between 2,500 and 4,500 RPM. That's a gain of 25 horsepower and 49 pound-feet of torque over the 2-liter Turbo 4 found in the regular 9.3, making it more powerful and faster than any production Saab before it. The Viggen is so much fun to drive, but it also demands a certain degree of respect. Power is harnessed by a 5-speed manual transmission before being sent to the front wheels. An automatic transmission was never offered. Along with an updated clutch assembly and more aggressive gearing, the Viggen features stronger half shafts and CV joints. The transmission feels really nice. The shifter is smooth and offers crisp engagement as you roll through the gears in conjunction with a firm clutch. One pretty cool thing about Saab's manual transmissions is that to remove the key, you have to first put it in reverse. Call it an extra safety feature to guard against rolling. These cars were well known for their incessant torque steer. After all, it's a lot of power going to the front when there isn't a limitless differential. In an effort to mitigate torque steer, Saab electronically limited max torque output to 184 pound-feet in first gear and 243 pound-feet in second gear. The full 258 pound-feet is available from third gear onward. All things considered, the car has pretty decent grip. In the end, how the car behaves is really based around your driving style. Push it beyond reasonable means, especially during inclement weather, and you'll be more prone to losing grip. Get it to hook just right, and the car will rocket to 60 miles an hour in just over 6 seconds. Top speed is governed to 155 miles per hour. The Viggen was also the first 9.3 to adopt Saab's Trionic 7 engine management system, which provided boost, fuel, ignition, and throttle control all from one unit that was specifically calibrated for the Viggen. The engine itself is constructed using a cast iron block with an aluminum cross-flow type cylinder head. The valve train consists of dual overhead chain-driven camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and dual counter-rotating balance shafts. The compression ratio is rated at 9.3 to 1. Essential changes for the Viggen included strengthened alloy pistons, piston pins, connecting rods, and intake valves. The exhaust valves are made from pneumatic alloy, which contains a larger percentage of nickel for better heat resistance. Low restrictive intake and exhaust systems allow the engine to breathe easier and provide a more exhilarating sound. With having a larger turbocharger versus a regular 9.3, the Viggen also required the use of a new cross-flow type intercooler that featured a larger heat-dissipating core. The turbocharger could develop up to 20 psi of boost. The EPA rated all Viggens, regardless of body style, between 19 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway. In mixed driving, expect the average to be in the low 20s. Premium fuel is recommended for maximum performance with a total capacity of 16.9 gallons. I've always considered the interior of these cars to be one of their best attributes. The build quality is top-notch, and being a Saab, it's a highly functional environment that places a priority on simplicity and safety. The Viggen's interior differed quite a bit from a regular 9.3. It was sportier, more luxurious, and offered several exclusive design elements such as unique leather upholstery with textured inserts. Look closely and you'll also see Delta Wing emblems embossed on the upper seat backs. Other exclusive elements included the stainless door sill plates, sport steering wheel, and the metal look dash panel fascia. The deeply bolstered front seats provide more lateral and thigh support than a regular 9.3 to hold you in tight around corners. They're quite a bit more comfortable too, especially over longer trips. Both front seats are heated and come with full power adjustments, manual lumbar, and vertically adjusting headrests, while the driver's seat also gets 3-person memory. The steering wheel is only adjustable for reach. All of the controls are logically grouped in order of importance. They're easy to read and nothing is more than a short reach away. Steering wheel radio controls made switching between your favorite stations even easier. In 2002, all 9.3s were equipped with a 160-watt 6-speaker audio system, along with an in-dash CD player. Above the radio is a comprehensive driver's information center. Perhaps the coolest feature in these cars, though, is the built-in weather band.
Saturday night, clear. Cold flows in the upper 20s. Northeast winds around 5 miles per hour.
I take that back, the coolest feature is actually the night panel. It dims out most of the interior lights to reduce eye strain at night. In the lower portion of the dash, you'll find an electronic automatic climate control system with rear defrost, as well as buttons for the heated seats, traction control deactivation, and OnStar. The latter provides hands-free telephone, roadside assistance, and more. The 9.3 did away with its predecessor's analog clock for a reconfigured center stack that actually integrated a pop-out cup holder, and while it's a clever design, it's not the most ergonomically friendly. Alongside the ignition switch and toggle for the convertible top, the power windows are located in the center console. This keeps the doors clean and free from clutter. With regards to storage, there's pockets across the doors, a net to the right of the center console, and a generous locking glove box that houses 2 shallow drink coasters. The leather-wrapped armrest you see here is actually an aftermarket add-on. These cars never came with armrests from the factory. In addition to high-strength steel reinforcements within the body structure, occupants are protected by dual-stage front airbags, front seat-mounted side airbags, and active head restraints. The 9.3 convertible can seat up to 4 people. The back seat is surprisingly generous. There's good overall space. I'm 5'10", and I really didn't have any trouble sitting back there. It's also exceptionally comfortable. Both of the headrests are adjustable. There's seatback storage pockets, lower adjustable air vents, and even some reading lamps. If you didn't have anybody sitting back there, you also have provisions to set up a wind deflector. So now let's go ahead and see how she sounds. You can open up the trunk a few different ways. There's a button on the driver's door, a lock cylinder on the trunk lid, and a button on the key fob. Inside, when the top is lowered and the rear partition is down, you have 10 cubic feet of space. But when the top is up, you can also raise up that partition to yield about 12.5 cubic feet. It's a fairly versatile space overall. In case you need to haul longer items, there's actually a pass-through from the trunk to the interior. All you have to do is fold down the rear seat. Underneath the trunk floor is a temporary spare tire with all of the necessary changing equipment. Other practical bits include cargo tie-downs, illumination, and a handle up top to make closing the lid a bit easier. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the Saab 9.3 Viggen. Be sure to stay tuned next time, leave a like and subscribe today, there's always a lot more where that came from. Take care everyone.